How is vitamin E a potent antioxidant? Let's take a look. Now, it all begins with fats. What we have are two fatty acid chains here. This is what we call a saturated fatty acid because the carbons bound to the hydrogens through covalent bonds, so sharing electrons, all the four possible bonding points are made up of hydrogens. That's saturated. Here, we've taken hydrogens away and added double bonds. That means it's started to become unsaturated, and now that we've got two, it's polyunsaturated. So this is a polyunsaturated fatty acid. Now you might think, who cares? When we put double bonds in here, because the carbons and the hydrogens are bound through electrons, when we add a double bond, it becomes a stronger electron cloud, right? Now think about this. Hydrogens are made up of simply a proton and an electron flying around the outside. If this is a stronger electron cloud, it disrupts the electrons in that area. So does this one. And this is called methylene right here in the middle, disrupting that hydrogen bond, making the carbon bonding to it a lot weaker. And that's very important because it makes this hydrogen susceptible to be stolen. And if we steal the hydrogen, we can steal the electron. And there are things in the body that love stealing electrons called free radicals or oxidative stresses. So one example of a free radical is hydroxyl radical. That dot tells you it wants an electron to be whole again, and it sees this molecule here with that easy hydrogen. So if I were to write this up in shorthand, the R is the whole lipid molecule and the H is that hydrogen that can be stolen. So what can happen is this hydroxyl radical can come along, steal the hydrogen, make itself water, so whole again, and what we're left with is a lipid radical. This now is missing its hydrogen and electron and wants to go steal some. Now effectively, as it travels through the body, it's going to come across oxygen, and in doing so, it produces still a radical, but now it's called a lipid peroxyl radical. This thing's nasty. What it can do is it will come across more polyunsaturated fats. And it says, I'm going to steal that easy to steal hydrogen. And it takes it and becomes whole again. Brilliant. But what the polyunsaturated fat is left with is it becomes a radical again. So it starts to propagate radicals. This is called lipid peroxidation. Now what our wonderful vitamin E does, also known as alpha tocopherol, it has a spare hydrogen and it will give it. And it says, hey, don't steal it from our polyunsaturated fats. I'll give you that hydrogen, I'll become the radical, and you can become whole again. Now this radical you might think is passing the buck. It's far more stable than this radical, and that's why vitamin E is a great antioxidant.